Back in the early 1800s, the high-pitched whistle of the iron horse brought thrills and excitement to the people of the early western frontier towns. The adventurous early days of railroading are not forgotten in the minds of our younger generation. Today, many men and young boys have recreated the past by building and operating model trains in exact replica of those of more than a century ago. But the trains of the past are only part of the fun and excitement of model railroading. Today, there are more than 100 different type steam and diesel locomotives to choose from. Freight and passenger cars are available to the model builders in almost endless variety. There's no limit to the effects that can be built into a model railroad system. But how does one get started in the hobby of model railroading? Some begin with an inexpensive, ready-to-run train set and pre-formed layout that can be set up any place in a matter of minutes. Others, like Billy and his dad, are introduced to model railroading by friends and neighbors.
Mr. Wilson, are these pictures of model trains?
Sure are.
Boy, they're keen. And I thought trains were for kids.
Model trains are for boys from your age to my age, Bill.
You mean you build model trains, Mr. Wilson?
Sure do.
Why don't you take Billy downstairs while Sally and I fix some refreshments?
Okay, this way, Bill. Yeah, that model railroading bug gets people of all ages, Bill.
Gee whiz.
Like it, huh? I got started only a little over a year ago. Wish I'd started sooner. But you know, I always thought that model trains were for fellas who are experts with their hands.
Many people have felt the same way, but then they found there were more than 500,000 people from all walks of life who build and operate scale model railroads. Some were business executives, farmers, construction workers, professional men, and boys of all ages.
And I thought trains were for kids. Boy, would I like to build something like this. But I wouldn't know where to start.
Let me show you something, Bill. Here, take a look at these, Bill. I began with these same books a little over a year ago. They show you how to get started. Everything from building the table to filling in the scenery details. Everything's explained in easy to understand, step-by-step instructions.
Boy, that looks easy.
They call it stages. Stage 1 shows how to build a simple oval. Stage 2 shows what adding a siding will do. Stage 3 shows you how to move a few buildings and add a couple of turnouts or switches, and you have a return loop. Stage 6 shows you how you can make a few additional alterations to add an upper level complete with mountain tunnels and bridge. Now, here's another book that does practically the same thing. It shows you how to build a table complete with track plan for good operation, all confined on a 4 by 8 foot piece of plywood.
By this time, Billy was convinced that you didn't have to be an expert to build a model railroad system. But what about building cars and locomotives? One of Mr. Wilson's diesels pretty well answered Billy's question.
Take this diesel locomotive, for example. Notice the small detail. Yeah, but she'll pull 15 cars without straining.
But don't they cost a lot?
No, Billy. Most cars and locomotives come ready to run, or in simple kit form. Now, some experienced modelers prefer more complicated kits, and there's a wide variety of cars and locomotives for them to select from, too. And we have both kinds in these trains we're going to run right now. The old steamer.
The sound of the trains running aroused the curiosity of Billy's dad, and he had to find out what was happening.
Hey, you
Sue, what's going on down there? You know you're breaking up the ladies' bridge game. Hey, that's some train you got there, John. Does it run?
3-1 timing. Boy, does it look neat.
This is over my head. I wouldn't have the patience to build something like this.
Look, Dad, Mr. Wilson gave me these books. They show you how to get started, even how to build the table and scenery.
John, you must have a fortune tied up in this.
Model railroading isn't any more expensive than any other hobby if you go about it right. Besides, you don't need everything all at once as you do in fishing, hunting, or golf. Makes the wife's Christmas and birthday shopping a cinch, too.
Well, how in the world do you find time to build all the cars and locomotives?
Like I told Billy, model railroading has changed in the last several years. The innovation of better production methods, the use of plastics, and an ever-increasing demand has greatly simplified the construction of many cars and locomotives. Let me show you. Take this refrigerator car, for example.
When it comes to car building, Mr. Wilson is typical of the many model builders who have found that the simplicity of new HO car kits has eliminated many laborious hours that were required a few years ago to build authentic, smooth-running cars. Plastic, wood, or metal cars come ready to assemble. A few dabs of cement, according to the directions, and the body of the car begins to take shape. Next, the trucks or wheels can be easily assembled and fastened to the car body in a matter of minutes. By following step-by-step instructions, you can build a smooth-running car like this in less than 1 hour. All the tools you need are a small screwdriver, needle-nose pliers, file or knife, and you have a car that looks good and runs equally as well.
Dad, do you think we could build a model railroad?
I don't know, Bill. You know, I'm not much good at this type of thing.
Jim, there have been so many revolutionary changes in model railroading in the last few years, it's easy for anyone to not only get interested in model railroading, but to build good operating layouts. Books and magazines for the new model railroader begin with the fundamentals. Now, take these books I gave Billy, for example. They show the beginner how to get started with easy-to-follow directions, from how to build a table to laying the first trackage. Come on over to the workbench. I want to show you something. Watch that laundry line there, fellas.
Like all good model railroaders, Mr. Wilson kept a complete set of books on model railroading. There was a good book on wiring that caught Billy's eye. There were other books on scenery techniques and building structures, all written by experts, designed to give the HO model railroader the right start to economical and practical model railroading. Billy found the books interesting and exciting. With the purchase of an inexpensive sheet of plywood, Billy and his dad began their HO model railroad layout. Billy found that you don't have to be a mechanical genius to build a miniature railroad. Take the laying of track, for example. A cork roadbed can be cemented or tacked to the plywood table to meet the design of the track plan. Inexpensive sections of snap track are screwed or tacked to the roadbed, providing a smooth running surface. If you desire, small stones or ballast can be sprinkled over a smooth coat of inexpensive varnish, and you have a truly authentic-looking roadbed. Billy's railroad was off to a good start. It wasn't too long until Dad became interested. But what good was track and smooth roadbed without a locomotive and a few cars to run on it? Today, hobby shops and hobby departments across the country carry a stock of more than 5,000 different pieces of model railroad equipment. They're made by many manufacturers, but all are standard and interchangeable. Bill and his dad discovered many beautifully detailed cars and locomotives for a fraction of the cost they had thought possible. Dad was really beginning to get the bug, just as Mr. Wilson said he would. And of course, Billy was right there to provide the necessary encouragement, just in case. The only problem was deciding which of the many beautifully detailed locomotives they would like to have for their own model railroad system. Regardless of their selection, they would find that HO locomotives are powerful, durable, and dependable. Today, there are more than 1 million miles of model railroads in operation across the country. There's something fascinating about watching scale model trains as they weave in and out of tunnels, across the high bridge, ducking through the village, complete with realistic buildings and scenic backgrounds. From flat plywood boards have grown railroads with a spider web of main lines. The power of new locomotives and the smooth operation of cars permits multiple level operation. More trackage can be laid in a smaller space. Mountains, bridges, and waterways have a reason and are not just something built on a flat surface. Never before in the history of scale model railroading have there been so many products to select from. There are more than 300 different freight and passenger cars in seemingly endless styles and road names, available in kit form or fully assembled, ready to run. All are authentically duplicated from actual railroad blueprints. As a beginner, a small power pack will operate your railroad and accessories. But as your layout grows, you may want to build your own master control panel using ready-made automatic controls that can be installed in a matter of minutes. A fully automatic railroad is fun. A simple push of a button will control the direction of your switches. Operate signal equipment in the yard. Or control the movement of trains along the main line. Today, HO model railroading is attracting more men, women, and boys into the hobby than ever before. Scale model railroading is rapidly becoming America's fastest growing family hobby. For example, every member of the family will enjoy working on building structures, and there are many to select from. Like the cars and locomotives, these buildings are scaled down from actual architectural drawings. They're simple and easy to assemble. Painting miniature figures, assembling building structures, and the designing of scenery provide a wonderful opportunity for Mother to express her artistic ability. Each year, hundreds of boys are introduced to model railroading at Christmas time. But model railroading is no longer a seasonal hobby. Train sets, kits, and ready-to-run cars and locomotives are economical and practical gifts for birthdays, Father's Day, and anniversaries.
Put that in there. Slide it right in, okay? Yes, Sally. Turn it off a minute.
You want me to bring down the sandwiches when I finish painting the factory?
Sounds good to me. How about you, Bill?
You bet.
Okay, wind her up again, son. Let's go.